Do you think being in debt is good or bad? 10 years ago, I would have said for sure that being in debt was not a good thing. But as I grow older, I find that this is not exactly the case. Over the years, I've seen too many news about real estate owners who have been playing with cash flow through borrowing and owning more than 10 or 20 properties. And those honest people who are hardworking and want to buy a house by saving money are still struggling to rent a house to help the owner pay the mortgage. We have also seen too many credit payments and deferred payments in business. Is being in debt a good thing or a bad thing? The most important thing is to first distinguish between good debt and bad debt. In the Rich Dad Poor Dad, it is said that good debt can bring you a constant increase in cash flow. Bad debt is constantly out of your pocket to pull out money. We say that the rich have become rich by debt. So what are the good debts? The most widely known example of making money from debt is the history of the fortunes of global real estate owners. In today's full payment to buy a house has basically become a legend. For ordinary people, the reason is very simple, that is, no money. But for the rich landlords, with their assets, it is not impossible to buy a house in full payment. Why do rich people still have debts? The real reason is very simple. The bank's money is not used for nothing. The loan to buy a house not only can use other people's money to get the property they want, but also through the way the loan can legally reduce the tax payable. Most people buy a house first to save enough money for a down payment, then pay the down payment, get a bank loan, sign a contract to buy a house, and from then on begins a half-life of bank repayment road. The wealthy will first invest the passive income from other assets in their name as a down payment and then do the same thing, get a bank loan, sign a purchase contract, and then continue to use the passive income from other assets in their name or a business loan to renovate or remodel their home. Then they selectively take out a second bank loan or not for properties that have already appreciated, and then they choose quality tenants to rent out their homes. You can collect rent every month and use the rent to pay for home maintenance and other miscellaneous expenses, and the rest of the money will be profit income. If you are a new landlord, you must be careful. Investing in real estate is not something that you can do with your eyes closed. Just like buying stocks requires knowledge of every aspect of the market, real estate investing also involves a lot of learning. If you buy the wrong one, the following problems may occur. It is difficult to rent, unreliable tenants, difficult to maintain long-term rentals, high management fees, low potential for asset appreciation, etc. Do we loan to buy a house must be bad debt? Actually, the answer is not necessarily. First of all, we use the home loan for self-occupation. Of course, cannot bring cash flow, but also to bear the maintenance costs of the house. To a certain extent is indeed to let us fall into the quagmire of debt. But what we need to look at to determine whether a personal mortgage is good or bad is the market rate of rent for the type of home we are contracting for each month. If you do a good job of collecting data, the mortgage will be lower than the market rent, which is one reason why landlords can earn the difference in mortgage rates by renting. Besides, changes in the market price of a home can lead to a rise or fall in household equity. Therefore, to examine whether a homeownership loan is good or bad, you need to consider both the monthly repayment amount and the change in the price of the house. If a personal mortgage is used properly, then it may become important financial leverage for an individual to achieve wealth advancement. The second great example of good debt is a healthy business loan that can be relied upon to expand an existing business or upgrade an industry. For example, Ben opened a restaurant in the suburbs with tasteful decor, fine cuisine and attentive service. However, the location was poor, the customer flow was not good, and it was not easy to recruit staff, so the staff was always tight, and Ben often had to go to the kitchen to cook or greet customers. Later, with the money he had saved from the previous years of operation and a bank loan, he took over a shop in a downtown pedestrian street, and since then, the restaurant's customers have been increasing and the income has been rising. With easy access to the downtown area and easy access to well-trained chefs and waiters, Ben was able to focus more on selecting quality suppliers, developing new menu items and expanding the restaurant's promotion without worrying too much about the store. What started as a mediocre restaurant soon became a local internet sensation. Even the cost of publicity was saved in the later stages. Of course, if the loan into the business, but no improvement, to consider timely stop loss. Think about where the business problems, rather than expecting an endless investment of time and money can make the business improve, or good debt will also become bad debt. There is another kind of good debt, is a very controversial one. That is, the borrowing rate is lower cash debt. Investment net return rate is higher financial products. This kind of good debt is also through the difference between interest rates, or play the game of earning the difference. The controversial nature of this good debt is that any investment is risky. The higher the rate of return, the higher the risk of investment. Once the investment fails, the person still has to repay the loan with interest. A common example is borrowing money to speculate in stocks, and speculating in stocks on margin. If you are a novice investor, we do not recommend you to do the above actions. As for expert investors, I believe you have already relied on leveraged investment products to the moon. After talking about the good debt, then what are the bad debt? All debts used for consumption are bad debts. The more unnecessary consumption, the higher the degree of bad debt. The most common bad debt in our lives is credit card loans. In addition to the temporary use of credit card loans, these purchases can hardly help you make money, especially if you do not pay on time or can only repay the minimum amount each time. Use credit card installment loans, or even withdraw cash. You will find that the interest rate is alarmingly high. Not only will it seriously lower your credit score, increasing the difficulty of applying for loans in the future. However, credit card loans are not absolutely bad debts. We know that credit card advances are your future cash flow. If you pay it off in time during the interest-free period, it is not a bad debt, and it will be a good cash management tool. There are a lot of high finance cardholders who can cleverly use the credit card repayment time difference to turn the money flow. Another annoying bad debt is a car loan. The value of a car begins to depreciate at the time of purchase, and the cost of car maintenance is a hard expense. So not being able to save on a car loan not only increases your debt but also expands your daily expenses. Of course, we can't stop buying cars because of this. After all, for many people, cars have long been a necessity of life. The important point to solve this problem is to buy a car that is within your repayment capacity so that it is not a waste if you use it to the fullest. Without debt in today's society, the original accumulation process will become long, and good debt is the lever to pry up greater wealth. Since we can't avoid living with debt, all we can do is properly distinguish between good debt and bad debt, make debt work for us, and make sure our debt situation is in a virtuous cycle. After all, debt itself is not good or bad. What determines whether a person's debt is good or bad is financial intelligence, your knowledge of money and your attitude towards spending. Here is Monopony. Welcome to like, comment and subscribe. See you next episode.